Let's talk LSU recruiting. The Tigers dropped UCLA 34-17, a lopsided victory at home to improve to 3-1. Brian Kelly and the Tigers, they have On3's number 3 ranked recruiting class, and many of their commits were back on campus, including a couple of targets. We're going to break it all down. We're going to go behind the scenes of this big visit weekend. I got LSU insider Shea Dixon on here. He was on the sidelines for yesterday's big win. We're going to break it all down. But first, LSU fans, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We're out here talking LSU recruiting all season long, so jump on board and hit subscribe. All right, let's bring in Shea Dixon. We're going to start with some big news right off the top. Number 1 defensive lineman in the 26 class, maybe 25 class, but 26 class for now. Jahkeem Stewart was on campus. Shea, why was this significant?
Well, you say it there. When you talk about number 1 player, they have one committed right now, and Bryce Underwood is the number 1 overall prospect in this 2025 class. Then you look ahead to 2026, and 3 of the top 10 players right now on the On3 rankings are from Louisiana. 2 of them are from Baton Rouge, the only one not being Jahkeem Stewart. And Josh, obviously, it's been a couple of weeks now, but the big news to start the month was that he withdrew from St. Aug, made his way over to Carr. A lot of people speculated, is he going to go to IMG? Will he leave the state? I called it a massive recruiting win. Both, it's like the pre-commitment, if you want to put it that way, if this goes well for LSU, because they didn't want Jahkeem leaving the state. He ends up going over to Edna Carr and staying in the city. We'll see, Josh, what's going to happen with this reclassification. But for me, 1, great thing to have him on campus. 2, as we look at a reclassification, a potential one, good thing to keep him in Louisiana. A great thing to keep him in Louisiana for LSU's chances.
Yeah, and now getting him on campus was huge because he's been to Ohio State, he's been to USC, he's been all over kind of recently. Seeing him show back up in Baton Rouge, that was huge. So if this thing does go to the 25 cycle, say he reclassifies up to 2025, I mean, it's going to be a microwaved recruitment because you can't take your official visits until you're a quote-unquote senior. Right now, he's still considered a junior. So if he is reclassified, he's going to have those official visits available to him. Do you know right now what LSU strategy is going to be? Is it going to be strike fast, get him on campus, or do they maybe wait till the season ends and try to get him on right before that December early signing period?
I think right now the ball is in Jahkeem's court in the sense of they're working through things, and you could call it behind the scenes, but really just in his daily life with Edna Carr of making sure he's got all the courses he needs to be enrolled in to then be able to reclassify, because you don't leave St. Aug for Edna Carr and have to sit. Reminder, this is a big point of emphasis here. He's not playing this year, and he already sat out his freshman year because of transfer rules. So you're not going to be willing to risk another season of sitting out for no reason if you aren't reclassifying. So I think the goal right now is making sure he's in a spot, right, Josh, where he's got the course credits, he knows what he needs to take in the fall semester. I'd be hard-pressed to believe, given how late in the process he's doing this, that switching schools, that he would come out in December, right? I could be wrong, but that may mean, hey, what do you need to take in the fall and the spring to be able to reclassify? And if so, then you can go ahead and make that move. But I think we have not heard anything public about it yet because they want to make sure, hey, look, every single duck's in a row before we say, I'm now a member of this 25 class.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, now, it was a great atmosphere for this UCLA matchup at home. Well, a little hot on the east side of the stadium. I know it was.
The recruits hang on the west side of the stadium.
The west side, the atmosphere was electric, but it was also just a great time for commits to be in town. One of them was 5-star DJ Pickett, but who were the most important commitments to get back on campus for this big visit weekend?
Obviously, Jahkeem Stewart being a number 1 overall prospect, a massive D lineman, which is a position they need help with, but any school will take a massive D lineman, especially a guy who can help on the interior or at end. He's ranked number 1 for a reason, Josh, and will end up a 5-star for a reason. So he's a big one. I circled 2 guys. Aiden Anding out of Ruston, he couldn't make it. They went over to Texas and beat Longview in a big game on Friday night. Got back late into Louisiana, but 2 guys who did make it for a 2:30 kickoff, DJ Pickett coming in from Florida and Cade Phillips coming in from Texas. Texas obviously had a commitment from Cade Phillips. LSU flipped him less than a month after he committed over the summer. And in that same span, obviously, they beat out the likes of Miami and Oregon for Pickett. So on three, Josh, number 1 and number 7 corners. I won't speak for our rankings team. I just know the trajectory that Phillips is on and where he's been ranked, that you could be looking at Corey Raymond coming in after spending that time at Florida, Brian Kelly hiring him back to LSU, and Raymond immediately delivering 2 top 5 corners from the national landscape, from outside the state, and then locking down a guy like Aiden Anding and Rustin. So right now, I think the cornerback rebuild on the field is one we're watching play out in real life. But the good thing, or in real time, I should say, the good thing is coming soon, the DJ Pickett's, the Cade Phillips, the Andings of the world will be on this roster. And we've seen tons of freshmen compete for playing time over the years at cornerback when Corey Raymond was the coach, including now with PJ Woodland. So help is on the way. I will also say, Josh, your seat a little warm. Another guy who sat there not too long ago, Harlem Berry, was back at the game. Our number 1 running back and On3 industry number 1 running back right now, a 5-star. He and Bryce Underwood did their best to put on a show in your studio there. And JT Lindsay, LSU's other 4-star running back commit here in Louisiana, was on campus after putting on a huge show on Friday night, multiple touchdowns and a big win over Destrehan for Ash. So all in all, I didn't think this was going to be a big recruiting weekend. It turned into a huge one. I thought it was sort of save it all for Ole Miss. You know, it's a 2:30 game here against UCLA. How many guys can make it in? They ended up buckling in and having a really big recruiting weekend in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, I always expected that there was going to be more than, what we were hearing throughout the week, and having a guy like a Jahkeem Stewart paired up with the DJ Pickett, the Harlem Berries of the world, it was a big visit weekend. Now, there's 2 more guys and their brothers I want to talk to you about before we get out of this LSU segment. DBs Jacob and Blaine Bradford were on campus. Now, Jacob is a 2025 recruit committed to Houston. Blaine Bradford's a 2026 recruit, not just any 2026 recruit. He's the number 1 safety in that class, and they were both on campus. So is Jacob Bradford a flip target, or is the priority his younger brother, Blaine Bradford? Or are they a package deal?
I don't think they're a package deal, and I think currently the priority is Jacob Bradford. I don't think enough people are talking about it, given when they've expanded with so many NCAA rule changes now to 105 scholarship players. You're needing to take more Louisiana guys than ever, because far too often we see guys go to TCU, Houston, some out-of-state schools, Virginia, Dontavian Wicks, who plays for the Packers now. He played right across the river here in Plaquemine, but it feels like you shake a tree and can 5 receivers fall off of it. So if you're evaling right, you make the right offers, you can land and develop some really, really good future NFL-type players out of Louisiana. And both Bradfords are guys at Catholic who have been really standouts in the secondary for them. Jacob's commitment to Houston isn't a random one either. Remember, Josh, Willie Fritz is the head coach over at Houston. Mm-hmm. A lot of that staff came from Tulane, so they've got some deep ties in Louisiana. They've got a lot of kids committed from Louisiana. But I will say that they would love to get Jacob Bradford in this class. And obviously, if you do, that does help set you up in a little bit better of a spot, maybe, for next year, when Blaine Bradford, one of the 3 guys I mentioned who are ranked in On3's top 10 nationally from Louisiana, with 2 of them being Baton Rouge guys, he and Lamar Brown. Lamar Brown was also at the game yesterday. So recruiting, a number 3 class, Josh, right now for LSU, that is great. It's the best of the Kelly era. Next year has got a chance to be just as good, in large part because of how good Louisiana is with a kind of deep recruiting class. More than double-digit kids have already been offered.
Yeah, good point. Well, what turned out to be just maybe a middle-of-the-road visit weekend in September turns out to be quite a pivotal weekend, especially with Jahkeem Stewart being on campus. So LSU fans, talk to Shay and I. How are we feeling coming out of this visit weekend about Jahkeem Stewart, about some potential flips, and do we think that DJ Pickett sticks? Is he going to sign with the Tigers? Let us know. Comment section below.
Josh, Mario Nash as well, another flip target, was there. Mississippi State commit.
Yeah, we'll talk about him in another video.